eyes for just a second. If I say the word Afghanistan, what is the very first image that fires in your synapses?
Oh, for most people, it's a very specific file the brain pulls up.
It is, right. It's a gritty, shaking camera reel. You're likely picturing rubble. You're picturing, gray dust. You're thinking of that heavy phrase we hear over and over again, the graveyard of empires.
It's the default narrative, isn't it? We see a place defined almost entirely by what has been destroyed or who has invaded or who is left in a hurry. It's painted as this dead land.
Exactly. But today we are going to completely flip that script because we have a stack of research here, architectural surveys, travel logs, some as recent as 2025, that suggests that mental image isn't just incomplete.
It's barely scratching the surface.
We aren't looking at a graveyard today, we are looking at a crossroads.
And not just a crossroads on a map, but a crossroads of time. That's the real distinction. The sources we're unpacking describe Afghanistan not as a place where time passes and just vanishes, but where time accumulates. It's about layers.
Resilient.
And frankly, it's about a kind of beauty that just refuses to be erased, no matter how much history tries to scrape it away.
That is our mission for this deep dive. We are going hunting for the hidden beauty of Afghanistan. We're talking architectural masterpieces that somehow survived Genghis Khan.
We're talking turquoise lakes that look like they belong in a fantasy novel, not a war zone.
And we're going to walk through cities that are still breathing through broken walls.
I think the key theme you're going to hear again and again today is this idea of an archive. When you look at these landscapes, you aren't just seeing rocks and dirt. You are seeing the physical fingerprints of the Silk Road, of Buddhism, of Islam, of the Mongols, all stacked on top of each other.
It's a story about how beauty insists on being seen.
It really is.
So let's unpack this archive, and I want to start with a color. When you think of the Afghan landscape, you probably think dust, brown, gray.
Cocky, maybe.
Right, but our sources take us immediately to the northern plains, to the city of Mazar-Sharif, and suddenly the whole color palette just shifts aggressively to blue.
The Blue Mosque, or, strictly speaking, the Shrine of Ali. And blue is almost an understatement here. We are talking about soaring domes and massive walls covered in tens of thousands of intricate mosaic tiles.
It must be a visual shock against the landscape.
It's a complete shock to the system against those surrounding flat plains.
So describe what we're looking at here. Is this just painted on?
No, this is much more permanent. These are ceramic tiles, turquoise, cobalt, white baked with copper and cobalt oxides to get those amazing pigments. They cover every inch. It's a masterpiece of Islamic geometry.
Wow.
The intent was to reflect the sky, to essentially bring the heavens down to earth. And the effect, according to visitors, is that the building seems to almost float.
And it's not just some museum piece, right? This place is alive.
Oh, very much so. It's actually one of the most significant spiritual sites in the entire Central Asian region. The local tradition, and this is fascinating, is that it houses the tomb of Ali ibn Abi Talib.
The cousin and son-in-law of the Prophet Muhammad.
Exactly. Now, historians will tell you he's likely buried in Najaf, Iraq. But in terms of cultural impact, the facts almost matter less than the faith. The belief is what makes the site real.
And the sources mention this incredible festival, Nowruz, the Persian New Year.
Right, the Festival of Renewal. And you have to imagine this. Up to 200,000 people gathering in these courtyards. They perform this ceremony called the Jahinda Bala, the raising of a massive holy banner. It's a moment of just huge collective energy.
I can't even picture that many people.
But what stands out to me in the descriptions isn't just the crowd, it's the quiet moments. The sources describe these flocks of pure white doves that live in the courtyard.
I love that detail. The legend is great that if a gray pigeon flies in, the holiness of the place turns it white within 40 days.
It's a beautiful bit of folklore. But practically, it creates this incredible visual. Thousands of white wings fluttering against those deep blue tiles. It creates a scene of peace that is just so at odds with the headlines we usually see.
But, getting back to our theme of resilience, this building hasn't had an easy life, has it?
No structure in Afghanistan has an easy life. Even recently, the sources point to November 2025, when a 6.3 magnitude earthquake hit the north.
And it damaged the shrine.
It did. It damaged some of the walls, cracked those beautiful tiles. But the point isn't the damage, it's the reaction. The community immediately pushes for restoration. It's a constant cyclical effort. Tiles fall, and local artisans bake new ones to replace them.
It remains a touchstone of unity.
Always.
So we have this man-made turquoise wonder, but then the sources take us to the Central Highlands, and we find a different kind of turquoise. And honestly, looking at the photos of this place, Bandia Mir National Park, It looks unreal.
It does feel ethereal.
Like Photoshop unreal.
Yeah. You have to understand the geography here. You're deep in the Hindu Kush, about 3,000 meters up. That's nearly 10,000 feet. It's a harsh, high-altitude desert, jagged, pale limestone cliffs. And then nestled in the bottom of this stark canyon is a chain of 6 lakes that are just sapphire blue.
And the science behind it is pretty cool. It's not a man-made dam system.
No, it's a geological phenomenon called a travertine dam system. The water is super rich in calcium carbonate. Over thousands of years, as it flows, it deposits the calcium, building up these natural hardened walls, travertine, that trap the water.
So the water essentially built its own container.
Exactly. And because the water is so pure, so full of minerals, it reflects that intense deep blue color.
But of course, in Afghanistan, geology is never just geology.
It's also mythology.
Right.
The locals call it the Rulus Dam. The legend is that the lakes were formed by the miraculous touch of Imam Ali. So you have these lakes with names like Banda Haibat, which means Dam of Awe, and Bande Paneer,
Dam of cheese.
Dam of Cheese, because the white travertine walls look like blocks of fresh white cheese. It's a very practical description for something so majestic.
Now, this was Afghanistan's first national park, right?
Yeah.
From 2009. But when I read that, I thought, okay, is it just a park on paper? Do people actually go there?
They do. The data from 2023 showed over 100,000 visitors a year. And this is the crucial part. It's mostly domestic tourism. Afghan families piling into Toyota Corollas, driving for hours to get there.
So they're doing what? Hiking?
Hiking, yes, but also paddle boating.
Wait, paddle boats in the Hindu Kush.
Specifically, swan-shaped paddle boats. It's one of the most humanizing images in the entire research stack. You have this dramatic, mythic landscape, and right in the middle you have kids screaming with joy on a plastic swan.
That's incredible.
It's a reminder that life continues. People still need to find beauty.
I love that image. Swan boats at the end of the world. Now, speaking of the Central Highlands, we have to talk about Bamiyan. And that's a name that usually triggers a very specific, very painful memory from March 2001.
The destruction of the Buddhas, yes. And we can't ignore that. For 1,000 years, this valley was a thriving Buddhist center on the Silk Road. Those statues were colossal. But here's where it gets really interesting. The sources argue that Bamiyan is not empty.
Right. The expert in one of our sources called it a quiet archive. I thought that was such a specific phrase.
It is a quiet archive. Because even though the statues are gone, the niches, the spaces where they stood, have become symbols in their own right. It's about the presence of absence. You look at that empty space and you feel the weight of history.
And there's still so much to see, right? It's not just the empty niches.
Oh, absolutely. The cliffs are just honeycombed with caves, hundreds of them. These were monasteries, meditation cells, studios. Archaeologists have found murals inside that show influences from India, Persia, China, all blending together.
A truck stop for civilizations.
That's a great way to put it. They were using oil paints here centuries before the Renaissance in Europe.
So what's the status there now? Are they trying to rebuild the Buddhas? I feel like I see headlines about that every few years.
It's a huge debate. As of 2024-2025, UNESCO is mostly focusing on stabilization, making sure the cliff doesn't collapse further. But lately, they've been experimenting with digital projections.
Oh, wow.
Using light to project the image of the Buddha back into the niche at night.
Which seems like such a poetic solution. You bring the image back without erasing the scar.
Precisely. And speaking of scars, the valley is full of them. Nearby, you have Shari-Golgola.
The City of Screams.
Yes. A fortified city destroyed by Genghis Khan in 1221. The legend says the massacre was so total the screams just echoed for days. It's a crumbling mud brick skeleton. A reminder that the Buddhas weren't the first time this valley saw total destruction. And yet, people still live there.
Life insists on continuing. It's haunting. Now, if Bamiyan is famous, there's another monument in the sources that feels like a hidden secret. The Minaret of Jam.
The Survivor. That's what I call it.
Tell us about this thing. The location sounds like something out of an adventure novel.
It really does. Picture this. You are in Gore province. It's a deep, narrow gorge. No city, just cliffs and a river. And rising out of nowhere is this solitary 65-meter-tall tower made of intricate fired brick.
65 meters, that's like a 20-story building.
Exactly. Built around 1190.
And it's just there, by itself.
It's the only thing left of a lost city called Ferosko, the turquoise mountain. The Mongols came through and just obliterated the city, wiped it off the map. But for some reason, they left this tower standing.
That's incredible. So you have this 800-year-old skyscraper covered in calligraphy just standing alone in a canyon.
And the craftsmanship is mind-blowing. It's covered in Kufic script verses from the Quran, and it still has these bands of glazed turquoise tiles that catch the sun. But it's in trouble. It's tilting.
The Leaning Tower of Afghanistan.
Basically, the river is eroding the base. But the sources mentioned something interesting. In 2023 and 2024, there's been a renewed international effort using drones and soil testing to figure out how to save it. It stands there as a whisper of a city erased.
Wow, a whisper of a city erased. Man, that gives me chills. Okay, let's move from the remote ruins into the cities. Let's talk about Kabul.
Kabul, the funnel of empires.
Yeah.
Everyone has passed through, and the city bears the scars of all of it. But it also has these incredible pockets of restoration.
Like the Darulaman Palace. I've seen photos of this from the 90s, and it was a shell, a skeleton.
A total ruin.
Yeah.
But by 2021, it was fully restored. It's hosting national events now. It went from a symbol of civil war to a symbol of rebirth. And then you have Babur Garden.
The burial place of Emperor Babur, founder of the Mughal Empire.
Yes. And he chose to be buried in Kabul, in a terraced garden under the trees. It's a public space now. You see families picnicking, students studying. It's a slice of serenity in a chaotic city.
But my absolute favorite detail about Kabul from these sources, and I think this is going to stick with you, the listener, is the bird market, Kafaroshi.
Oh, this is such a high engagement detail. If you want to understand the Afghan soul, you go here.
Describe this place to us.
So deep in the old quarters, there's this narrow, winding corridor. And the moment you step in, the soundscape changes. The roar of traffic just fades away.
And it's replaced with what?
Just chirps, whistles, and fluttering wings. It's packed with wooden cages and men admiring songbirds.
And they're just buying pets, right? There's a whole culture here.
It is serious business. They prize these birds for voice and character. Canaries, finches, larks. In a city dealing with every kind of crisis, you have this corner dedicated to the care of fragile singing creatures.
It seems almost contradictory.
But that's the key. It represents the survival of softness. In a harsh world, people are desperate to curate a little corner of beauty and joy. That market has survived the British, the Soviets, the Civil War. The birds kept singing through all of it.
The survival of softness. I love that. Let's hop over to Herat, which the sources call the former Florence of the Islamic world.
And it has the credentials. The Friday Mosque in Herat is a masterpiece. We're talking about acres of blue glazed tiles, but the patterns are a kaleidoscope of colors, mathematically perfect geometric compositions.
And there's a citadel there, too.
The Kala Kiruddin. It has roots going back to Alexander the Great. It dominates the skyline. But then there's the Musalla complex, which is more tragic.
These are the lonely leaning minarets.
Yes. It was once a massive religious school and mosque built by Queen Gawar Shad, one of the most powerful women in Islamic history. But most of it was destroyed by the British in the 19th century.
The British? Why?
The Great Game. They were terrified of a Russian invasion and thought the Russians would use the buildings as cover to attack the citadel, so they dynamited it preemptively.
That is just heartbreaking.
It is. Today, you just have these lonely, leaning minarets sticking out of the ground. But when you get close, you can still see the intricate diamond patterns in the brickwork. Fragile, haunting, and incredibly beautiful survivors.
It seems like everywhere we look, we find these survivors. Now, I want to take us to the absolute edge of the map. Let's go to the Wakhan corridor.
The finger.
It looks like a mistake on the map. This long, skinny strip reaching out to touch China. Why does it exist?
It was a political creation, a buffer zone from the 19th century between the British and Russian empires. Neither wanted a shared border, so they created this literal buffer strip.
And because of that, it became this isolated time capsule. What's life like there?
It's a high altitude. Life is measured by weather and seasons, not clocks. You have Wakhi and Kyrgyz herders living in yurts, raising yaks, no paved roads, barely any electricity.
And yet the sources say it's attracting tourists.
It is. As of 2025, it's considered one of the safest regions precisely because it's so isolated. Trekkers and filmmakers go there for the mythic endurance of it.
And the hospitality there is legendary.
Sharing salt and stories. That's the phrase the sources used. When you are that isolated, community is your only survival mechanism. It's a very pure form of human connection.
So we've traveled from the Blue Mosque to the bird market, from the empty niches of Bamiyan to the high peaks of the Wakhan. When you step back and look at all this, what does it all mean?
I think the lesson here is that Afghanistan is not a single story. It's not just a war zone. It's a land of layers, We've seen art that survived Genghis Khan. We've seen cities leveled and rebuilt over and over again. The destruction is real, yes, but the resilience is just as real.
And the beauty isn't accidental. It's something people fight to preserve.
That's it. Beauty insists on being seen. The bird market keeps singing. The pilgrims keep going to Mazar.
Before we go, though, there's one more thing in the sources that I found really provocative, a dilemma that hasn't been solved. Ms. Einek.
Ah, yes, the little copper well. This is the perfect example of the tension between the past and the future.
Set the scene for us. What is it?
Imagine a massive, buried Buddhist city monasteries, stupas, statues similar in scale to Baman. It's sitting just south of Kabul, but it is sitting directly on top of one of the world's largest copper deposits.
Oh, no.
We're talking an estimated $3 billion worth of copper.
So the choice is dig up the copper and destroy the history, or save the history and lose the money.
Exactly. The clock is ticking. A lot of the site is still unstudied, and it poses this incredibly difficult question for a country that desperately needs economic resources.
Hmm.
What do you value more, the potential wealth of the future or the heritage of the past?
And that is a question that doesn't have an easy answer, a history that might never be fully told.
It's a reminder that the hidden beauty we've been talking about is fragile. It requires choices to keep it alive.
That is a heavy but important note to end on. To our listener, next time you see a headline about Afghanistan, I hope you pause for a second. Look beyond the immediate crisis. Think about the blue tiles of Mazar, the silence of the Wakhan, and the songbirds in Kabul.
Look for the fingerprints of history. They are there, in the stone and in the silence.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. We'll catch you on the next one.